Okay, so you clicked on this video because you want to learn how to fix up your baby beast or your big baby beast, whatever it may be. So this one's all gunked up. That fluid is supposed to be clear, but it is all messed up because I got a burnt coil, and sometimes that happens. So, and it's a damn shame because it costs a lot of money. Okay, so I'll basically just be showing you the steps on how to clean out your tank, prep your coil, and get you all set for new juice. If I can get the camera right. So, let's switch over to step number one. This step is one of the easiest. You take your safety ring off if you already haven't. That's pretty much one of the simplest things you can do here. You remove your mouthpiece, like so, and then you disassemble the unit. And I would suggest putting your thumbs and pointer fingers, that's what they are, on the colored ends, whichever color your tank may be, just whatever's not the glass, and you twist in the opposite directions. Sometimes they're going to be stuck. They might be a little gunky, and it might take a little bit of extra effort to do so. So, get a towel or a paper towel just to get better grip, and twist them apart until the pieces separate. Then you're going to have the atomizer, which is this puppy right here, your glass for your tank, and the top. Coil inside the atomizer, you screwed it in before, or you watched some guy at a vape shop do it. Might be a little tricky to get out. It's a perfect example because it is. You can't quite get a good grip on it and move it against to get it out of there. Again, just try to get a paper towel or something to get a good grip on it and twist them in the opposite directions, just past that one seal, and then she should twist off. Easy does it. And now that we have all of our pieces clean and wet, you can take a towel or a paper towel and just clean out your grooves, clean out where everything will screw into, because that will keep everything from leaking. Now we are going to talk about coil preparation. There are a few different ways that you can do this. Now what I'm about to show you, let me get my face in here, is optional. You don't have to do this. But if you want more juice in your coil and you want it to be more saturated, if you're afraid of the cotton getting burnt as you hit it, I would do this. You take a pin, I don't know what, a thumbtack. This is a thumbtack. If it'll zoom correctly. Stupid. Okay, whatever, you get the idea. You have your juice vents in your coil. This is an X4. I'm just trying it out. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of it yet. But in your little windows there, you twist around the thumbtack, or a needle would even work. You get it all up in there. You just break up that cotton. This one is not being compliant whatsoever. But, yep, there we go. So, you just get it in there completely. There's going to be a little hole towards the vent. That way, when you take dry hits, juice will be fed into the coil and not be stopped by just a constant wall of cotton. So, again, that is optional to get a hole, or maybe two if that's your preference. Put one on the top, one on the bottom. You might get a lot of feedback. You might taste in your mouth a lot, which isn't necessarily good. But that's an optional preparation for your coil. You're going to make sure that your atomizer, the bottom piece, has all of its grooves and what you're going to be screwing the coil into. Just make sure there's no water in there. Make sure there's no lint or anything from your towel or your paper towel. Get that all cleaned up, and then you screw it in. It might help to press down on this. I guess this would be the atomizer piece, because that's what heats up your coil. But if you press that down when you're installing the coil, you're not going to get errors on your mod. So I learned that just last week, actually, when I was having trouble. Because if it's too far down, like that, you might get some errors. So press that all the way in whenever you're changing out your coil. Sometimes that causes a little bit of issue for the threading, but you just got to make sure that you get it in properly. And that's really up to you to get it in the correct threading, which can be tricky with SMOK sometimes. Something like that, you get a lot of resistance, it is not correct. Come on, I'm making a video here. I'm just going to speed this up anyway. Please. Okay, so you get good threading, feels right, except it's not. It's not right because it's crooked. You can see that. It's not in properly. So you really just gotta fidget with it until it's perfectly threaded. Okay. So it appears our threading is proper. It's all right. Get a little bit of better grip on it just to make sure that it's all sealed down correctly. Okay, that part is done. Now I'm going to grab my juice, and this stage is what everybody calls prepping. Prepping your coil for the initial hits. So you get plenty of juice in your dropper, or however you hold your juice, and you just put a touch on the inside, a few drops deep inside there, just so all of that cotton is fully saturated with your juice. You can even put a lot in there if you want. See, with an X4, whatever this is, I am a little nervous about how it's going to turn out. But you put them in the vents on the sides as well. Just wherever you see cotton, make sure that it's full and filled with juice, whatever juice you want. Might get a little bit messy, but we're going to clean it off before we reassemble everything. So just make sure all of that cotton is freshly saturated with your juice, because with that initial hit you don't want a pure cotton burn. You want to make sure that there's juice that you're hitting instead of cotton. So that is finished. Take your towel or paper towel, make sure that it's all cleaned up, your grooves are all clean, not only on the atomizer where you see I'm doing it, on the sides, but also up top here, because there's threads around that coil on the top that you're going to be screwing in the other pieces too. So get your glass all nice and clean, place that on top, like so. Get over here, you get your top piece. I think I cleaned it out or dried it off substantially. And here's another tricky part. This camera work may be awful, but you want to make sure that you get the even grooves. You don't want it to be inaccurate. You don't want it to be just off the grooves, pretty simply. And we got it good there. Sometimes you'll notice that it's crooked a little bit and that it didn't apply correctly. Fix that. It's no rush, and it'll last you a longer time if you take that time. And then next step's going to be just fill up your tank. You open it up like so. You'll figure that out. Get your juice. And I would be careful with these baby beasts. If you try to put your dropper in there too much and you wiggle around, the tip of the dropper is actually going to break off and you're going to have glass in your tank. I don't know about you, but I do not want glass in my tank. you want it to be. You're going to have some spillage up there. It's simple, just clean it all off. The reason that I am so careful about having my unit cleaned and my tank free of just excess juice everywhere, I don't want my hands getting sticky, and that'll mess with your seals. If you don't clean it up properly, your seals are going to be trash. So there's your finished tank with your fresh coil and your juice. You put the mouthpiece on, simple. Sometimes. And you put your safety ring on, which says keep on vaping. That's pretty clear. But you got this beauty right here. Now if you'll remember, you prepped it. You put plenty of juice in the cotton of the coil before you put your top on. I put plenty in, so there's some coming out the vents at the bottom because it's well saturated. To get it all up in there, you might want to be cautious doing this. It's not going to kill you though. Just take a bunch of dry hits, and by a dry hit, I mean inhale just the tank. If it's on your mod, just don't hold down the button. Just get air flowing through there so the juice gets sucked into the cotton. See, I just got a mouthful of vape because I super saturated it. If you want to like use paper towel as a filter, if you can make that work. I just did. Kind of. There we go. So there's plenty of juice right there. That's coming back up because I fully saturated it. But just to be safe, I give it a little bit of time for the juice to get in to the coil. I just don't want to burn my coil initially, because once that cotton's burned, the coil's ruined, which can be a pain. And this is actually more of a pain because the zoom isn't working. So there's your finished product. Give it a few minutes before you take a hit, and after that you should be fine.